Have you ever imagined how a simple act of kindness can completely change the course of a life, or several? That's exactly what happened when Marcos, a millionaire accustomed to the silence and impeccable routine of his mansion, encountered something he never expected. A small, fragile boy collapsed in the middle of his luxurious garden. At first, he thought it was just another unexpected scene, but what he didn't know was that the boy carried secrets capable of transforming everything. You might think, why would someone so rich care about a stranger? But the answer is as surprising as it is inspiring. What began as a simple gesture, offering a plate of food and a roof, quickly turned into a journey of revelations and changes. Marcos and his family discovered that sometimes life presents us with challenges and connections in ways we could never have predicted. However, what truly makes this story special is not just the unexpected encounter. It's what comes after: family mysteries unraveled, relationships rebuilt, secrets kept for years, and the personal transformation of each person involved. This is a story that will make you question the power of human bonds and how kindness, even in the smallest doses, can resonate in unimaginable proportions. And now I ask you, what would you do if you were in Marcos's place? Would you extend a hand or simply ignore? The answer can say a lot about you. But one thing is certain: after learning this story, you will never see the world the same way again. Ready to discover what really happened when that boy crossed Marcos's path? It was a peaceful dawn when Marcos, a millionaire known for his reserved nature, spotted something unusual in the garden of his mansion. Among the freshly trimmed flowers was Joao, a small and frail boy, huddled under an old blanket. The scene was disconcerting. The contrast between the luxury of the surroundings and the boy's fragility revealed a story yet to be told. Without hesitation, Marcos decided to take him in, a deed that he had no idea would change the course of many lives. Marcos, a man who had long ignored small acts of humanity, did not know that this simple decision would be a turning point. And who could blame him? Everyday life can harden us, but sometimes, all it takes is an opportunity to transform everything. Thus, he brought Joao into his home, offering a warm bath and a plate of food. In that moment, something awakened. The boy not only seemed grateful, but also surprisingly familiar. Meanwhile, the news spread throughout the house, causing a mix of surprise and curiosity. Clara, Marcos's wife, wondered what the boy was doing there, but noticed that her husband seemed different. There was something in his demeanor, something almost youthful, as if that act of kindness was reigniting an old flame in his heart. Isn't it curious how sometimes helping someone can illuminate parts of ourselves that were dimmed? Joao, despite his fragile appearance, displayed surprising manners. He thanked repeatedly, drawing attention with his polite speech and attentive eyes. Marcos began to wonder where the boy had come from. After all, the garden of his mansion was not a place that just anyone could access. It was as if his presence there had a greater purpose, a piece of a puzzle he still couldn't assemble. However, questions about Joao would have to wait. First, he needed safety and comfort. Marcos bought new clothes for the boy, including a pair of sneakers he had never had. "You know," Marcos said, "when I was a child, I dreamed of something like this. Maybe that's why I decided to help you." Joao, with a shy smile, replied, "Sometimes, rich people also have kindness in their hearts." And that sentence resonated, dismantling hidden prejudices. As simple as the gesture seemed, it had a profound impact on the household's dynamics. Employees who previously saw Marcos as distant began to admire him. Clara, who had faced challenges in silence for years, felt a new connection with her husband. It seemed that Joao had brought not only a plea for help but also a breath of new life. And that's what small acts of kindness do, they multiply. But Joao's story was just beginning. Amidst silent glances and unasked questions, there was something everyone could feel: that boy carried secrets that were about to change everything. The next discovery would be as unexpected as it was revealing, making it clear that life is never as simple as it seems. As the days passed, Joao's presence began to awaken something deep within Clara. Every time she looked at the boy, a sense of familiarity filled her heart. It was as if he carried fragments of a long-forgotten past. One day, noticing the way he adjusted his hair, Clara experienced an intense déjà vu. I recognized that gesture, but from where? She murmured to herself, uneasy. Marcos also noticed peculiarities in the boy's behavior. Joao was not only polite, he seemed to possess an unusual wisdom for his age. During dinner, he mentioned names and places that made Clara and Marcos exchange intrigued glances. How could such a young boy know about these things, they wondered. It was as if Joao was, unintentionally, revealing pieces of an emotional puzzle that neither of them knew they were trying to solve. One morning, while helping Joao organize his few belongings, Clara found something surprising, a worn medallion with a name engraved on its surface. Ana Maria. Clara stood still for a few seconds. This name was the same as her older sister, who had disappeared years ago. The discovery brought a mix of hope and fear. Could Joao be connected to the mystery surrounding her family's history? Joao, for his part, began to feel comfortable sharing details of his life before he was found. He spoke cautiously, but his stories carried a weight that Clara couldn't ignore. My mother always said someone would find me and take care of me, he said, holding the medallion. Marcos, observing from a distance, realized that there was more to this story than it seemed. Clara, visibly moved, couldn't hold back her tears. It was as if each word from Joao reopened an old wound but, at the same time, offered a chance for healing. The connection between him and Clara became more evident when she decided to show him some family photos. "Do you recognize anyone?" she asked, with an anxiety she could barely conceal. Joao pointed to a photo of Ana Maria and replied, "That's my mother, or at least that's what she said." The boy's words struck the room like lightning. Clara and Marcos looked at each other, now certain that Joao was not just a coincidence in their lives. He was a crucial piece in an emotional and familial puzzle they were about to unravel. But, like all truths, this one also came with even greater mysteries. Clara, for the first time in years, felt motivated to confront the past, with all its pains and revelations. Deep down, Joao knew that the story did not end there. The medallion, the fragmented memories, and the anxious glances around him indicated that something big was about to be revealed. It was as if he had been placed in that garden to bring buried secrets to light and, perhaps, rewrite the history of those people. And, although the answers were still unclear, one thing was certain: the next step would be as revealing as it was transformative. The discovery that Joao was Ana Maria's son hit Clara like a bomb to her heart. Her sister, who had disappeared over a decade ago, seemed closer than ever, though only through that boy. Clara, once so reserved, now saw Joao as an extension of her lost family. "You are my nephew," she said, tears streaming down her face. The truth, though painful, brought a renewed sense of belonging. Marcos, on the other hand, struggled to process the revelation. Always skeptical about emotional matters, he didn't know how to handle the whirlwind of feelings that Joao's presence awakened. However, seeing him and Clara together, something changed. He began to see how the boy filled empty spaces that no one mentioned but everyone felt. It's funny how answers come in the most unexpected ways, he thought, watching Joao flip through an old photo album. Conversations around the dinner table were never the same again. Joao, curious and charismatic, brought new life to the house. He asked questions about Ana Maria, and Clara responded with stories that seemed straight out of a book. "Your mother was an incredible woman, brave and full of dreams," she recounted, smiling through her tears. Joao listened attentively, absorbing every word as if he were finally putting together the puzzle of his own identity. As days passed, Joao began to call Clara aunt, and it deeply moved her. Marcos, even without admitting it, felt a growing pride in his wife. She, who had always been the emotional cornerstone of the family, was now also becoming a bridge between the past and the present. Maybe sometimes we need to look back to truly move forward, he reflected, watching Joao and Clara share laughter in the garden. The family connections, however, were not limited to just Joao and Clara. He also won over Marcos, who began to see him as more than just a lost boy. Once, upon hearing Joao ask about business, Marcos noticed a spark of curiosity in the boy. "Do you want to learn about what I do?" he asked. Joao's response was immediate and enthusiastic, showing that he not only wanted to learn, but also wanted to be part of that world. Reconnecting with Joao reminded Clara of the value of family relationships. She began encouraging Marcos to visit relatives he had long neglected due to disagreements. "If we could find Joao and rebuild this story, why can't we do the same with others?" she argued. This initiative made Marcos think about the importance of forgiving and valuing the bonds that truly matter. But what Joao brought to that family went far beyond obvious reconnections. His presence revealed truths, but also raised new questions. How had Ana Maria disappeared? Why had Joao never fully known her? And, above all, what did the future hold for this family that now seemed to be reborn? Answers seemed to be lurking, ready to appear at the most unexpected moments. Joao, now fully integrated into the household routine, showed a genuine interest in learning. Clara was the first to notice his thirst for knowledge. Upon finding him reading an old book in the mansion's library, she asked, "Do you like to read?" The boy responded enthusiastically, "My mother always said that in books, we find new worlds." This deeply touched Clara. She decided to enroll him in a prestigious school, even though she knew it would be a challenge for him. At first, Joao felt out of place among his classmates. The new clothes and the luxurious environment couldn't erase his humble origins. Clara, noticing his insecurity, encouraged him with wise words, "What defines you is not where you come from, but who you choose to be." She also began helping him with his homework, showing that education was a bridge to new opportunities. "You can be whatever you want," she repeated with conviction. Marcos, seeing Joao's dedication, decided to go further. He hired private tutors to explore the boy's talents. During a music lesson, they discovered that Joao had perfect pitch, a rare gift that impressed everyone. Clara remembered an old piano stored in the attic and had it restored so Joao could practice. With each note he played, he seemed to connect more with his new life, while the past gradually turned into learning. Joao's education wasn't limited to books. Marcos began taking him to the office, teaching him about management and investments. During one of these visits, Joao asked, "What if we used some of the money to help other children like me?" The question left Marcos speechless, but also planted an idea. Perhaps Joao was more than just a student, he could be a mentor for others in the future. A true agent of change. With the family's support, Joao began to build confidence. He entered a school essay contest and wrote about the day a flower saved his life, a poetic reference to the garden where it all began. When he won first place, he rushed to show the prize to Clara and Marcos. "This is just the beginning," Clara said, with a smile that mixed pride and hope. Joao's transformations inspired the family to value the power of education even more. Clara began visiting institutions that supported homeless children, while Marcos started funding social projects related to education. The impact was tangible. Joao, who was once seen as the boy from the garden, was now becoming a living example of how knowledge can change destinies. But as Joao continued his learning journey, other pieces of his story began to emerge. An old box left by his mother was found among his belongings. Inside were letters, photos, and an object that seemed to hold answers to many unresolved questions. What was that past hiding, and how would it affect Joao's future? The next revelation was about to surprise everyone. The old box found among Joao's belongings became the center of attention. Clara and Marcos watched as he opened it carefully, almost as if he feared what he was about to find. Inside were time-yellowed letters and a notebook with notes. But what caught their attention the most was a photo, a young woman smiling next to a child. "It's my mother," Joao whispered, as silent tears streamed down his face. The letters, written by Joao's mother, were filled with stories of sacrifices and hopes. Ana Maria had faced unimaginable difficulties to protect her son, even giving up her own safety. In one of the letters, she explained how Joao had been taken away to escape a dangerous environment. "My greatest wish is for you to have a chance to be happy," a passage read. Clara, upon reading this, felt the weight of her sister's love and pain. Marcos, always the pragmatic one, decided to investigate further. He hired a private detective to uncover what had happened to Ana Maria. The initial results brought shocking revelations. She had become involved in a complex family dispute that forced her to disappear. However, João did not know the whole truth. Clara decided that he should learn about his history gradually, so he would have time to process the information. Meanwhile, João began to ask questions. "Why did my mother never come back to get me?" he questioned, his eyes full of a mix of sadness and hope. Clara, with a gentle voice, replied, "Sometimes, love requires difficult choices, João. Your mother did everything she could to ensure your safety." Even so, it was evident that the boy was seeking more answers that were increasingly within reach. One afternoon, while organizing the documents in the box, João found a hand-drawn map marked with a specific location. "My mother drew this," he said, holding the paper tightly. Intrigued, Clara and Marcos decided to investigate the indicated place. It was a small farm on the outskirts of the city. There, they found an old chest containing Ana Maria's personal belongings, a diary, simple jewelry, and more letters. The diary brought a new layer of understanding. In it, Ana Maria described the challenges of raising João amid adversities, but also expressed her faith that one day he would find a safe home. "You are my greatest achievement, my little miracle," she wrote on one of the pages. Clara realized that, even in her absence, Ana Maria had shaped João with love and resilience, leaving a legacy that still echoed. The past, now clearer, brought answers but also raised new questions. There were details in the letters and the diary indicating that Ana Maria had more secrets to reveal. What else had she hidden, and how would this impact João and the family's future? The pieces were coming together, but the puzzle was far from complete. The next step promised to be as transformative as the previous ones. João was not the only one undergoing profound changes. Clara, inspired by her nephew, began to look at her own life with new eyes. For years, she had lived with physical limitations that made her avoid certain challenges. But João's courage, facing an unknown world, awakened in her a desire to overcome. "If he can start over, why can't I?" she thought, watching the boy practice the piano. Clara's decision came like an avalanche of determination. She began attending physiotherapy sessions that she had long abandoned. With the support of Marcos and João, progress soon began to appear. One day, after managing to walk unaided for the first time in years, she laughed loudly, as if she had regained a part of herself. João, moved, applauded enthusiastically, "You're amazing, Aunt." The positive energy was contagious. Beyond her physical health, Clara also rediscovered her passion for art. Inspired by Ana Maria's notes in the diary, she took out her old paints and brushes from the cupboard. "Your mother loved to draw," she told João, encouraging him to explore his own artistic abilities. They began creating together. Clara painted while João wrote, and together, they brought to life stories that seemed to unite the past and the present. Marcos, who had always been the rational pillar of the house, was also impacted by Clara's transformation. He began to value the small moments, like the walks they now took in the garden. João, with his characteristic curiosity, once asked, "Why do you never take time to relax, Uncle?" Marcos laughed, but the question made him reflect. He started delegating more at work and spending more time with the family, rediscovering the pleasure of being present. Clara also began to work on her emotional healing. The discoveries about Ana Maria had opened wounds, but also brought a chance for healing. She decided she would not let the past define her relationship with the present. "We need to celebrate the life we have now," she said, suggesting a family picnic. The lightness of that day became a symbol of new beginnings for all of them. Clara's transformation did not go unnoticed in the community. Friends and neighbors began to be inspired by her journey, also seeking to face their own challenges. "If Clara managed it, maybe I can too," commented a neighbor who, moved, decided to resume her studies. Joao, always attentive, began to see his aunt as an example of resilience, learning that strength lies not only in grand gestures but also in the small daily victories. But amidst so many positive changes, Ana Maria's diary still held a crucial secret, something that Clara and Joao had not yet discovered. And, as always happens in life, Clara's personal transformation seemed to be just a prelude to an even more impactful revelation, something that would connect all the dots of this story of overcoming and love. Joao felt that his mother's diary still had more to reveal. Sitting at the kitchen table, he carefully leafed through its pages, like someone discovering a treasure map. Among notes about daily challenges and postponed dreams, he found a sentence that deeply marked him: "Every story deserves to be told, even if no one stops to listen." These words echoed in his mind, planting the idea that he too could create something meaningful. Clara, noticing Joao's determination, suggested that he write his own story. "You carry an incredible journey within you," she said, with an encouraging smile. Inspired, Joao began to jot down his thoughts in a new notebook. He wrote about the garden where he was found, the moments of discovery with Clara and Marcos, and even about the challenges he faced before arriving at that house. Every word felt like a liberation. Marcos, always attentive to Joao's potential, decided to help him take his stories forward. He contacted a family friend who was an editor, and the editor was impressed with the boy's talent. "This boy has a unique voice," the editor commented. Thus, Joao began to transform his notes into a book, blending real facts with touches of fiction. The project was not just a creative exercise, but also a way to honor Ana Maria's legacy. During the writing process, Joao found more letters at the bottom of the diary. One of them contained his mother's final wish: "I hope you carry forward what we learned together: kindness, courage, and the importance of believing in new beginnings." These words reinforced his determination. He realized that he was not just writing for himself, but for all the children who, like him, needed a chance to change their lives. The book launch was an emotional event. Marcos organized a small party, and Clara prepared the garden, the same one where it all began, to welcome the guests. When Joao stepped onto the small makeshift stage to read a passage, his voice trembled but was steady. "My story is not just mine. It belongs to everyone who believes that, even in the most difficult situations, we can find kindness and purpose," he said, earning heartfelt applause. The book's impact was immediate. It not only sold copies quickly but also inspired reading and writing initiatives in underprivileged communities. Clara and Marcos began funding educational projects in Ana Maria's name, perpetuating her legacy of hope and overcoming adversity. Joao, for his part, started visiting schools and shelters, encouraging other children to tell their own stories. But, like every good story, this one also holds surprises. Among the letters left by Ana Maria, there was a mention of a name Joao had never heard before. Who could this person be, and what role would they play in the narrative he was building? The mystery lingered in the air, proving that sometimes the past is never truly closed, and that every end can be the beginning of something new. Now that you know this incredible story, it's time to reflect. How many opportunities to make a difference are passing unnoticed in your life? Just like Marcos, you too can transform not only someone else's life, but your own with a simple act of kindness. After all, it's not about how much we have, but how we use what we have to create an impact. And Joao? He shows us that every challenge can become a springboard for success when we believe in ourselves and seek support from the right people. What can you do today to change your own story or someone else's around you? Maybe volunteer your time for a social project, encourage someone who needs help, or even take that first step toward a dream that seems distant. Remember, every great transformation begins with a small decision. Are you ready to start yours? Leave in the comments what touched you the most in this story and what changes you want to make in your life. Let's create a chain of inspiration together. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue following stories that will touch your heart and motivate you to be the best version of yourself. Until next time, and remember, the future starts now.